Two countries went to war in 1969. Planes dropped bombs, armies crossed borders, thousands of people died, and it all started with a game of football, not a metaphor, not an exaggeration, a real war over a sport. So how does kicking a ball into a net end with cities on fire? Meet our two neighbors, El Salvador and Honduras. Central America. Both small, both poor, both desperate. Here's the problem. El Salvador is tiny, the most crowded country in the region. And almost all the good farmland belongs to a handful of rich families. So, for the regular person, there's nowhere to live and nothing to farm. Right next door, Honduras is the opposite, big, with land to spare. So, over the years, hundreds of thousands of Salvadorans quietly slipped across the border to build farms and start over. For a while it worked, until it didn't. By 1969, Honduras was struggling too, and its government needed someone to blame. So it pointed at the Salvadoran migrants. New laws stripped them of their land and forced them out. Families who'd lived there for years were suddenly chased back across the border with nothing. The newspapers on both sides poured fuel on it. One country screamed, "invaders." The other screamed, "persecution." The two nations now hated each other, and that was the powder keg. All it needed was a spark. The spark was football. The two countries had to play each other to qualify for the 1970 World Cup. 3 matches, and the whole region was already at boiling point. Game 1, Honduras. The night before, fans surrounded the Salvadoran team's hotel. Horns, stones, screaming till dawn. Exhausted, El Salvador lost 1-0 to a last-minute goal. Back home, the defeat hit like a national tragedy. According to the most famous account, an 18-year-old fan named Amelia Bolaños was so devastated she took her own life. Her country turned her into a martyr overnight. A televised funeral, the president himself walking behind the coffin. Game 2, El Salvador. Now the home crowd wanted revenge. The Honduran players had to be driven to the stadium in armored cars. Their flag was burned in the stands. El Salvador won 3-0, but the real violence was outside. Honduran fans were beaten in the streets. 2 died. The border slammed shut. Game 3, a neutral playoff in Mexico City. El Salvador won 3-2 in extra time. And on that very same day, El Salvador cut all diplomatic ties with Honduras. The football was over. The countdown had started. Now, here's where everyone gets the story wrong. We love saying a football match caused a war. A girl, a goal, a gun. It's a perfect, tidy headline. But a football match can't start a war. So what really lit the fuse, and why does the world still call it the Football War? On July 14, 1969, El Salvador's Air Force crossed the border and bombed Honduras. Tanks rolled in. For about 100 hours, the two nations tore into each other. It only stopped because the rest of the region forced them to. A ceasefire came on July 18th. Estimates of the dead range from around 2,000 to as many as 6,000, most of them ordinary civilians. Tens of thousands lost their homes. And the football? It never mattered at all. The matches didn't create the hatred. They just gave a region full of land hunger, poverty, and propaganda the one excuse it was waiting for. Here's the part that stays with you. El Salvador won the matches and went to the 1970 World Cup. They lost every single game and didn't score once. A war for a tournament they crashed out of immediately. The two countries wouldn't sign a real peace treaty for over a decade. The families who were forced out, most never got their land back. Football didn't start the war, it just held up a mirror and showed two nations exactly how much they already wanted to fight. So next time someone says it was just a game, remember 1969.